can use your body's natural wake-sleep cycle in order to increase your success in making major changes in your life. I want to tell you how and what it's about in this video. How's it going, Reinventors? My name is Amelia Sims. This is Reinventing You, the channel where you can be inspired to take your own reinventing journey in order to live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose. I post twice a week, and I would appreciate if you have not subscribed, do so today. You can use your body's own natural wake-sleep cycle in order to create success in making major changes in your life. That is, if you're reinventing yourself in any way, whether it's physical, whether it's relationship, whether it's career-wise, any of those things can be helped by using your circadian rhythm. That's what the technical term is for your wake-sleep cycle, your circadian rhythm. Now, we're going to be talking about your circadian rhythm, your chronotype, and how you can harness these and use them and maybe even help you when you're trying to make some major decisions about what you need to do, especially for your career. I just finished a book by Till Roenberg that was published in 2012. And the name of the book is Internal Time. Now, Mr. Roenberg is, or it's probably doctor, is a scientist, and he looks at time. One of the things that he does is looking at the rhythms, your circadian rhythms. That is when you naturally go to sleep and when you naturally wake up. This goes down into your DNA. This is not just something, your personality. It's not a learned behavior. It's not something, oh, well, my mother got up early, so I get up early. Or my father would sleep late in bed, so I sleep late in bed. It actually has to do with your genes. So down to the DNA level, your body has a natural wake-sleep rhythm. I want to give an example of what he's talking about in his book. And one of the things is, if you have ever been a teenager or been around teenagers, you know that they do tend to stay up late and then wake up late. Stay up late and stay up until the early morning hours and then sleep all day. Whether it's yourself or somebody you love that's doing that, it can be frustrating. However, according to Mr. Roenberg, this is actually a natural state. We don't know why, but for some reason, young people, teenagers, I think it's up until about age 19 or 20, will tend to stay up late and then sleep late. They don't get up early. And this is very difficult. In fact, he tried to convince some of the school districts in Europe to change their hours. They were considering that, having a later start time. And they were like, oh, no, this is not a good time. The students are fresh or whatever. Or they couldn't understand why students were doing so poorly on exams in the morning and doing better in the afternoon. And so he tried to explain to them, this is a natural thing. And if you did start later, if you did have more testing in the afternoon than the morning, then the students would probably do better, perform better in school. And the thing about it is the argument was, well, we've always done this other way, but also the teachers are fresher in the mornings. Well, of course, the teachers are older, so they are probably ready to get up and they don't stay up all night grading papers or watching TV or whatever it is that they could be doing. And so one of the things that I learned in reading the book is that we all have these rhythms in our lives, and the rhythms do change when we are a particular age, like when we're young. Like, for instance, I know with our son, when he was really little, he was up really early and he's just raring to go. And the best time was when we spent the night with my mother-in-law, because my mother-in-law would get up very early. We always laughed about her having farmer's hours because she did grow up in the country. And so my mother-in-law would be up, my son would be up, and we could sleep late, and they were happy as larks, talking and carrying on. And then my husband and I would drag ourselves out of bed and get our coffee, and we're just, oh, don't talk to us kind of thing. Your circadian rhythm is your natural wake-sleep cycle. In other words, it's your daily natural rhythm, or natural daily rhythm that we all have, but we're also a chronotype. Chronotype is our timing type, and there's been lots of studies done and lots of people who have divided the population into different chronotypes, like larks and owls, or there's one other person who had wolves, bears, lions, and dolphins. And so you can divide the population around different chronotypes. Now, Till Rowenberg in his book doesn't really agree with the way these are typed, because he believes it's not your time that you go to sleep or your time that you wake up that's important. It is your main hours of sleep. There's a midpoint where you're at your deepest sleep, and that really determines your chronotype. So how is that going to help you? Well, what's my chronotype? Or, you know, what is my circadian rhythm like? It is going to be helpful for you in terms of how to structure your life around your natural rhythms. And I'll give you an explanation. If you're one of these people who enjoys getting up early and wants to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and you have friends who say, hey, you need to come join us, and they are staying up really late, and you go and you, like Friday night, you go and you stay up really late with your friends, and then you try to get going in the next morning and you're irritable and you're just having a hard time, but your friends that give you a hard time, I mean, they make fun of you if you don't go out and spend some time with them and be social, and yet you are the kind of person who wants to go to bed early. That can create some problems. Also, it can create problems in what your job is. If it is a job where you have got to be there early, and maybe an engineering job or running some kind of machinery, and you are the kind of person who likes to stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning and sleep late, you are going to have difficulties on that job. So that's where sometimes you need to know what your chronotype is, and you need to evaluate and say, okay, is my social life, is my physical life? You know, some people who are early risers are great doing exercise, but not everybody. Even though they say, oh, morning is the best time to do exercising. Well, it might be for certain chronotypes, but not for yours. So all of these things have to be evaluated in terms of, am I living my best life? Am I experiencing joy, purpose, and fulfillment in the way my body naturally goes? Okay, so you're probably wondering, well, what kind of chronotype am I? And so I went online to see what was available to figure out your particular chronotype. And I did find this video up here that could be helpful for you. I did take the test, and I came out as a dolphin bear. I really didn't fit quite in the parameters of what they were suggesting. It was helpful for me to figure out, well, maybe I should be exercising at this time. Maybe this is what I need to do when I first get up in the morning, or maybe these are my peak hours. But I have to be really careful, and I have to kind of caution you as well, is you can take these tests. You may not quite fit in. We can't all be pigeonholed in a particular area, but it simply is helpful. And you may know your own chronotype, but the best thing you can do is experiment. And the way you can experiment is this. If you have a long weekend or even a week off where you don't have anything major going on, like if you're going on vacation and you've got to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to stand in line at some kind of ride at a Disney or Universal Studios, you know, this is not the time to figure this out. But take some time to figure out when you naturally get up and when you naturally go to bed. That can give you a clue. If you are naturally an early riser, then you're probably going to get up maybe even before the sun on your days off. If you are somebody who stays up a little later and gets up a little later, then that can give you a clue about your chronotype. It just is helpful to kind of experiment. Also helpful for you maybe to take this quiz that I gave you that's on this video and say, okay, I might be a bear or a lion, and I'm going to try exercising at this time, or I'm going to try doing my best work between 1 and 3, like it says on the video or something. And just see if that works for you. If it does, it may be a good fit. Maybe you still like to exercise in the morning, but do your best work at between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. Whatever it is, I always say try new things, try different things, because it might help you out. Now, knowing your chronotype, knowing your own circadian rhythm can be helpful, especially in your career. I want to tell you a story that Till Rowenberg tells in his book that really gives a great example about how you can use your own chronotype, your own circadian rhythm to figure out what you need to be doing in your career. And that is the story of him going to a jazz bar, and there were 3 people there who were invited to just do an impromptu, because it's not open mic night if they're actually playing instruments. But anyway, one of them got up and played the piano, and he was awesome. And they were like, man, this guy could really go far being a jazz pianist. But the thing was, he was a surgeon, and he normally got up early to perform surgeries. He was an early riser naturally. He was having a hard time staying awake. Now, sure, he was a great pianist. He'd be a great jazz musician. However, because he naturally would get up early in the morning and had a hard time staying up late at night, he would make a terrible jazz pianist because, my goodness, a lot of jazz pianists not only stay up till midnight, they stay up 2 and 3 in the morning because they're playing. That's when people are going to the bars. That's when people are naturally listening to jazz music. So that person made the decision, I'm great as a surgeon, I'm great as jazz, but my circadian rhythm says that I am best getting up early in the morning. I know in my own life that I am not an early riser. I've never been an early riser. In fact, if you want to see one of my videos I did right up here about, should you be getting up at early in the morning or not, you can see more about my story about being an early riser. But I do know this, when I was pastoring churches, one of the worst days of the entire year was Easter Sunday morning. And the reason was every single church that I was a part of had a sunrise service. Who came up with this idea? Every year I'm like, who came up with this idea? Because I do not function well in the morning. I want to talk in the morning. I don't want, leave me alone in the morning. Now, I'm not like grumpy. I will greet you and that kind of thing, but it takes me a while to get going. And so getting up early and having a sunrise service at 6 a.m. was not my cup of tea. Now, I realized in the church that the whole sunrise service is our modern adaptation of an ancient tradition of staying up the whole night, if not the whole weekend, and having an Easter vigil, that is, never going to bed. And so that the sunrise service was sort of like the big culmination of some basically time of worship and waiting and praying and singing all night long. For me, that was a clue that this was not something that I would do well. In fact, the last church that I was a part of, our sunrise service was actually at 7 a.m., which is a little bit more helpful, but still early in the morning is not my cup of tea. So if you have a career where you have to get up early in the morning and you are not a morning person, this could be a problem. Is there a way to adjust your schedule? Maybe you're, I hate to stick with the medical field, but maybe you're a nurse, and being an OR nurse could be hard for you if you're not a morning person. Maybe you need to be some kind of night nurse or have to rearrange your schedule in order to fit your circadian rhythm. And I'm telling you this is because if you are not following your own circadian rhythm, it is going to cause you to feel less joy, probably less fulfillment, because you're not working and doing things in your own natural rhythm. Now, there are times where you're going to have to make some changes and do things differently, but you have to make those evaluations. What's going to be helpful for you? Now, one of the things that I learned in Rowenberg's book was that it's not just everybody's a lion, a bear, a dolphin, or a wolf. Where in the world do you live? In other words, when is the sun coming up? Like when people say, oh, you need to be getting up at 6 a.m. Well, if I lived on the East Coast, yeah, that would work because that's when the sun's coming up right now. But right now, I'm having a hard time getting out of bed until almost 7 a.m. I live on Central Time. That's when the sun's coming up. That's my natural rhythm. So I have to pay attention to that. I know that is maybe difficult for you. It might be hard for you to figure out, okay, wait, what is my natural rhythm? Another thing is, and I laughed earlier about my mother-in-law keeping farmer's hours, but it is true. People who live in the city and people who live in the country have very different rhythms. And so you have to figure out, okay, I grew up in the country, maybe, getting up early in the morning, let me figure out how that can work with my job, with my responsibilities, with my lifestyle. Going also back to having friends who stay up late. Maybe you have some toxic friendships. Maybe you're trying to lose weight, but if you go out with your friends, you're going to be drinking lots of alcohol, you're going to be eating food that's not really good for you. And so maybe you, not to say dump all your friends, but maybe find friends that are willing to do things at other times. Lunch breaks with each other, walk walking in the afternoons, something else, joining a gym or yoga class early in the morning, something that fits your circadian rhythm would not only be healthier for you physically, but also healthier for you mentally as well. That may be a help if you're trying to change your relationships or get rid of some toxic friendships, especially if your toxic friends are people who have a different circadian rhythm than you. So what is your chronotype? Down in the comments below, let me know. I get up, I'm an early riser, I sleep late in the morning. You know what it is, what do you think? If you've taken the test, I'm a lion, I'm a bear, I'm a dolphin, let me know in the comments below. This is a helpful video for you. Please give me a thumbs up. And as I said before, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Please check out these videos, especially this one that's about getting up early in the morning. And this one is about what do I do with my time now that I'm retired. Have a great one.